Hi, it's Katrina. Number 10. Lizzie Borden's Murder House. It's hard to say if the Lizzie Borden Murder House is a place of mystery or just madness. The house is in Massachusetts, currently worth around $2 million, although a horrendous murder took place here. Do you know the famous poem about Lizzie? It was inside the walls of this very house where someone butchered Lizzie Borden's father and stepmother in August 1892. At Lizzie's trial in 1893, they acquitted her of killing her parents, yet they heavily suspected her for the rest of her life. To this day, we don't know who murdered Andrew and Abby Borden, and the house has taken on a life of its own. Some say the house is haunted, some say it's plagued by supernatural forces of evil, and others insist it's nothing but an old house made of ordinary wood and concrete. No matter your view, there is no disputing the fact that horrible and unexplainable things have happened here. Number 9. Satan's Staircase. Stull Cemetery is believed to be one of the 7 gateways to hell. It's also been called America's most evil graveyard, shrouded in legends of ghosts, portals to the realm of Satan, and curses. This cemetery is so infamously mysterious that there is a rumor the Pope refused to let his plane fly directly over the grounds. It's even been featured in the show Supernatural. We can find Stull Cemetery in rural Kansas, originally built by Pennsylvania Dutch settlers who had left their homes in 1867 to escape religious persecution. They built an old stone church and began burying their bodies in the cemetery. But at the beginning of the 20th century, the roof of the church caved in, and they abandoned the whole place. Ever since, it's become the source of many terrible stories. It's said that on Halloween night, a stone staircase appears somewhere in the graveyard and descends deep into the depths of the underworld. The devil allegedly used this gateway himself to climb into the mortal world, revel for the night, and then drag spirits back down to his unholy sanctum. There are lots of other stories about witches, trees in the graveyard that were used for hangings, and even one story that's truly bizarre. Some claim Satan's very own child, a mutant born from a mortal woman with horrible deformities and hair like a wolf, is buried here, and that the devil visits the grave every year. Number 8. Lake Anjikuni. Lake Anjikuni is in the Canadian territory of Nunavut. It's one of several lakes in the Kivalliq region, and on the outside looks like any ordinary body of water. It contains trout and pike, and you wouldn't think there is anything mysterious about the place by looking at it. But in November 1930, something happened here that can't be explained. It all began with a Canadian fur trapper named Joe LaBelle. He was traveling near the lake when he stopped at an Inuit settlement for a place to rest and to have a good meal. But when he entered the community, he discovered they had completely deserted it. He walked into people's huts to find them empty, yet with food prepped and sitting on the table as if they had just sat down to eat dinner when they vanished. There were fires still smoldering in the huts, everyone's possessions were still sitting in their homes, and there was no sign of any violence or struggle. Joe sat around for a while, thinking they must have gone out on some kind of expedition near the town, but they never returned. They left behind everything they owned, even their dogs. Joe found the dogs starving to death in their pens. There were no footprints leading out of the village. There was absolutely nothing. But here's the thing. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police investigated to see what had happened, and their search brought them to a trapper and his 2 sons. The trapper, named Armand Laurent, and his boys told the police that they had witnessed a massive cylindrical object in the sky heading toward the lake. They thought it looked an awful lot like a spaceship. Aside from their testimony, nobody else knew anything about it. They never found any bodies, and to this day, nobody knows what happened to the villagers. Number 7. Avalon. Avalon was first mentioned in the History of the Kings of Britain, written by historian Geoffrey of Monmouth in 1136 AD. He described Avalon as an island located somewhere in the Mediterranean, a place occupied by wild apple trees, fruitful grapevines, and abundant with so much wild food that the locals didn't need to farm to eat. They described it as an idyllic paradise where the people had extremely long lifespans. They said the ruler of this mystical place was Morgan Le Fay, the sorcerer from the legends of King Arthur. Legend says that after they wounded King Arthur in battle, he retreated to Avalon to be healed by Morgan. Some legends say Arthur is still on the island today, waiting until Britain needs him the most to reappear. While we can obviously chalk a lot of this up to myth, Avalon may have been an actual place. One of the most popular options for the worldly location of Avalon is the ancient town of Glastonbury. Although it's not technically an island, marshlands once surrounded it, making it rather island-like. There was only a single entrance to the city, a boardwalk built across the marsh. Glastonbury was associated with plenty of old legends. Some say Joseph of Arimathea founded the Glastonbury Abbey, and Christ even once visited there. And in the year 1190, monks claimed they discovered the tombs of King Arthur and Guinevere, although it has never been proved. Number 6. The Fairmont Banff Springs Hotel. The Fairmont Banff Springs Hotel is in what some consider the most beautiful place in the world. The giant hotel is right in the middle of Banff in Canada, surrounded by the Rocky Mountains and shrouded in a thick forest of pine trees. It originally opened in 1888 and ever since has been the source of great mystery. If the hotel didn't stand here, it would be a perfectly normal woodland. But for over 130 years, the hotel has accumulated its disturbing share of ghost stories and paranormal mysteries. The most famous mystery of all has to do with a ghost called the Bride, though keep in mind she's only one of many. Her story dates back to the early 1920s. On her wedding day, dressed in her white wedding gown, she slipped and fell down one of the marble staircases at the hotel. As she fell, her dress knocked over a candle, which resulted in her catching on fire. The stories are vague, but she either cracked her head on the stairs and died, or burned to death right there in the hotel. Ever since, staff and guests have seen a mysterious veiled figure moving along the stairs, and sometimes even dancing in the ballroom, still in her wedding dress. What's your favorite hotel ghost story? Let me know in the comments any mysterious experiences you've had while at a hotel. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Number 5. Somapura Mahavihara. Somapura Mahavihara is a mysterious Buddhist monastery in Bangladesh. It's one of the earliest Buddhist sites anywhere in the country, with a central courtyard surrounded by terraced superstructures rising over 70 feet into the air. The mystery here is that there was once something enormous in the courtyard, but nobody knows what it was. It may have been a central spire, similar to an ancient Egyptian obelisk. Others believe the courtyard contained a landing pad for an ancient spacecraft known as a Vimana. The entire complex was built over 1,200 years ago in the 8th century. The monastery walls are 20 feet thick in some places, with over 177 rooms in which Buddhist monks once lived. It resembled a fortress more than a monastery, designed a lot like a medieval keep. In the 11th century, the Vanga warriors from the Ganges Delta in the south raided the monastery and burned what they could to the ground. It was not discovered again until the 1800s. It's the center of the monastery that gets all the attention. There was once something huge standing here, but time has destroyed all traces of it. The weirdest theory is that of the Vimana, depicted in ancient Hindu artwork as a flying vehicle that looked like a mix between a blimp and a spacecraft. They have discovered no proof of these mysterious vehicles, but there are many who believe they were real and that this monastery had the landing pad in case one decided to visit. Number 4. The Tonga Trench. Everyone's heard about the mysterious Mariana Trench, but nobody ever talks about the Tonga Trench. This is the second deepest place in the world, between Tonga and New Zealand. Its deepest point is horizon deep, 35,509 feet beneath the surface of the water. The difference between the Tonga Trench and the Mariana Trench is only about 300 feet. Not a lot. But just what is it that makes this trench so mysterious? It's because we don't know what's inside of it. In June 2019, Victor Vescovo was the first man to descend to the bottom of Tonga Trench, but he wasn't on a fact-finding mission. He went down and then he came back up, documenting no creatures. The trench is so massive, so dark, and so unexplored, there could be anything down there. We just don't know what kind of deep-sea monsters are hiding over 30,000 feet in the darkness. Number 3. The Bottomless Spring. The Fos-Dion Spring in central France is bottomless. At least that's the way it looks. For centuries, experts have been trying to figure out where the waters of the bottomless spring came from, to absolutely no avail. The ancient people who lived here believed the spring was a portal to another world, or the lair of some mythical serpent king. Some said that if a person could swim to the very bottom of the pool, they would come out on the other side in a strange realm. And while that may not be true, many people have died trying. 2 divers lost their lives trying to figure out how deep the well is after getting lost in the narrow passageways beneath the surface. Since then, nobody has tried to go back to the bottom. It's sitting in the town of Tonga, surrounded by ancient walls blocking it off from the rest of the town. It's a surprising piece of history, and arguably one of the most mysterious places in all of France. This spring spits out 80 gallons a second, or 793 gallons a second in times of heavy rain. But to this day, nobody has any idea what feeds it. Number 2. The Superstition Mountains. We can find the Superstition Mountains near Phoenix in Arizona. The mountain range is breathtaking, made up of deep canyons and beautiful volcanic peaks. It's a place of great natural beauty and also has a kind of spooky reputation. The mountain range has a history of hidden treasure, disappearances, and mystery. Stories of the Superstition Mountains go back to the 1800s and begins with the Mexican family by the name of Peralta. This family had gotten rich by mining in the mountains. According to the legend, during mining operations, the family stumbled upon a massive trove of treasure, a cavern filled to the brim with precious gold ore. Just after the Mexican War, there was only one member of the Peralta family left. Apache warriors had supposedly murdered the rest. They lost the location of the gold until 1912. That was around the time that the Apache took a man named Abraham Thorne to the treasure. Abraham was a doctor who had abandoned civilization to live with the tribe and offer them medical help for several years. To reward the doctor, the Apache took him to the site of the gold. He then enlisted the help of a German prospector named Jacob Waltz, and together they started extracting ore from the Dutchman's mine. But there is no physical proof any of this ever happened. It's all just anecdotal evidence passed down through stories. Almost everyone who's gone in search of the Dutchman's mine in the Superstition Mountains has wound up dead or vanished, and to this day, no one has found where the gold is hidden. Any ideas? Let me know in the comments below. Number 1. The Eye in the Desert. The Eye of the Sahara looks like a strange alien landscape, or even like the place where an alien spaceship once touched down in the middle of the African desert. But the Eye, also called the Richat structure, is a mysterious geological formation resembling a massive bullseye. It stretches 24 miles across the desert and was only first photographed from above in the 1960s by the Gemini astronauts. Geologists thought the Eye was an impact crater made when some kind of space object smashed into the surface of the planet. But now, after years of study, we know it's a geological dome that collapsed. The formation contains rocks that are no less than 100 million years old. The Eye of the Sahara contains material that dates to before the presence of life on our planet. The mystery is how it came to be in the shape of a bullseye. Scientists' best guess is that volcanic activity lifted the surrounding landscape, creating a dome. Then, millions of years of wind and water ate away at the dome until it collapsed, creating an eye in the center of the desert. Many believe that this place was once home to a lost city, maybe even Atlantis. Thanks for watching! Which of these places would you like to see for yourself, or have you already? Let me know in the comments below, and remember to subscribe if you haven't already. See you soon! Bye!